What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So I know you heard reports that undefeated three-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Bud Crawford. 38 wins, no losses, no draw, 29 wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. You heard rumors and reports that Terence Crawford could possibly be facing former unified welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who is now 30 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 33 years of age, 5'7" with a 69-inch arm reach. With that said, you hear reports and rumors that Terence Crawford could be possibly facing Keith Thurman next in his next fight, seeing as though the WBO, World Boxing Organization, has put Keith Thurman in the top 4 of their ranking system, okay, which is an indication that Keith Thurman could, well, possibly be facing Terence Crawford next, okay? Now, the fight that everybody wants to see, obviously, is the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, which represents Terence Crawford's biggest challenge and biggest rival in undefeated, newly crowned 3-belt unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in Errol Spence Jr., who is now 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 32 years of age, 5'9", with a 72-inch arm reach, okay? Errol Spence is coming off of a dominating performance after dominating former WBA welterweight world champion Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas via 10th round stoppage victory to become the 3-belt holder. With that said, that's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. That's the fight everybody wants to see. They're clamoring for a fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. Well, then we heard reports that Terence Crawford could possibly be signing a 2-fight deal with PBC, Premier Boxing Champion founder and advisor Al Heyman, to stage a Keith Thurman fight possibly in July, and then a Errol Spence fight, and before the year is up, right? Well, Terence Crawford, he made it abundantly clear now that he wants Errol Spence. Okay. And so with that said, he parted ways from longtime promoter, legendary promoter, top ranked CEO, Bob Arum, ESPN, and Top Rank. And that opened the door for Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight. Okay. Terence Crawford, made it clear that he had no interest in facing, anybody else now outside of Errol Spence Jr. So you hear reports that Keith Thurman is now in the top 4 of the WBO ranking system, okay, which is an indication that Keith Thurman is going to fight Terence Crawford next. Keith Thurman made his ring return after a long layoff, 2-year layoff, against Mario Barrios, former WBA junior welterweight regular world champion, Mexican star boxer, and Keith Thurman this February 5th to be exact, and Keith Thurman won a unanimous decision. After the fight, the WBC, World Boxing Council President Mauricio Suleiman, they decided to make that fight a title eliminator for Keith Thurman to go the route of the WBC to make it mandatory for Errol Spence Jr. So Keith Thurman, he stated he wasn't interested in going the WBO route, okay? Initially, he stated he would love to fight Terence Crawford after Terence Crawford defeated former 2-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter on November 20th. Okay, 2021. Keith Thurman, after that performance, he said that he didn't see the boogeyman in Terence Crawford. He saw flaws, and he would love to fight Terence Crawford in 8 months, which would indicate July, okay, because he was coming back. That fight was in November. He would come back in 8 months, fight Terence Crawford. He's fighting Mario Barrios in February, okay? With that said, Terence Crawford continues to make it abundantly clear now he has no interest in fighting Keith Thurman. So you hear reports that Keith Thurman is number 4 in the WBO ranking system. They're going to make Keith Thurman versus Terence Crawford. Well, Terence Crawford did an interview, sit down, and he once again let it be known that his only focus is to face off against Errol Spence Jr. in his next fight, or he's moving up to junior middleweight. His only focus, I repeat, Terence Crawford has reiterated, his only focus is to fight Errol Spence Jr. next, okay, and then move up and fight the winner, Jermell Charlo, Brian Castano, which Jermell Charlo is a big favorite in the fight. So he has no interest in fighting Keith Thurman at this point in time, okay? It made sense for him to sign a 2-fight deal some months ago in preparation to fight Keith Thurman in July, because Errol Spence just fought. Now, last time Terence Crawford fought was November 20th of 2021. Okay, he's fought once in 2020 against Kell Brook, once in 2021 against Sean Porter. Now we're in 2022. He'll be 35 in September. So it would bode well for him to have a fight with Keith Thurman in July, seeing as though Errol Spence just had a fight. That would be his second fight, right? Terence Crawford to be 35, fighting twice in 2 years, okay? Almost 3 years. So you would think it would bode well for him to stay active, right? And the Keith Thurman fight is a fight that he's been clamoring for when he first made his debut in the welterweight division, when he stated that the man to beat in a division, to be the man, you have to beat the man. The man to beat was Keith Thurman, okay? Now, Keith Thurman was the unified champion when he stated that. Now, Keith Thurman only has one loss. The WBC title, he lost due to inactivity. The WBA title, he lost to legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, July 2019. Okay, so that's the only blemish on his resume. He's still a massive name in the sport of boxing. So it would look great for Terence Crawford to fight Sean Porter, beat Sean Porter, fight Keith Thurman, beat Keith Thurman, en route to fighting Errol Spence. But at this point in time, the Errol Spence fight with Terence Crawford is already established. At this point in time, if, like I said, if they would have came to an agreement where he signed a 2-fight deal, and he fights, they already had it in place for him to fight Keith Thurman the end of June or July, right? That would make sense. But at this stage, now Errol Spence just had that performance. Errol Spence starts to call out Terence Crawford via social media every day, every other day. It doesn't make sense. Errol Spence just did an interview. He said the only fight that makes sense is me versus Terence Crawford next. And the only fight for him that makes sense is me for him. Right? At this stage, right, if that was already set, and then you could build up Terence Crawford, Errol Spence being at Terence Crawford's fight with Keith Thurman and things of that nature. But at this point in time, you don't want hiccups. You see the traction that Terence Crawford and Errol Spence have garnered right now. You see the attention, okay? You see the clamor, the hunger for this fight. Why risk it? Keith Thurman is still a very risky fight. Why put Terence Crawford in the ring with Keith Thurman at this stage, with this Errol Spence fight already at his boiling point, to do what? It don't make sense now. It made sense if they had it already set in stone for this to happen. But now it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. It's pointless at this point in time. Okay, so it makes sense now for Terence Crawford to just go straight away into this fight with Errol Spence. So he debunks all the notions that he's going to fight Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman is on the horizon and is going to be his next fight, and then Errol Spence at the end of the year. No, it looks like Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford is going to be September, October, possibly October now. Okay, that's a massive fight. It's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, and you don't want it to be derailed. Too many fights in the sport of boxing that has been built recently that has been derailed. You had Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. You had the going back and forth, and Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, they switching the negotiation, what they want, what they don't want. Fight never happens. Biggest fight in the sport of boxing, heavyweight undisputed match. They both suffer losses. You had Jamel Charlo versus Swift Jarrett Hurd. Building up, massive unification bout. They both suffer losses. Too often, right? You date back to Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. 5 years. Manny Pacquiao gets brutally knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez. It loses its luster. Now it's still financially, revenue-wise, and view-wise, it still was the biggest fight in sport of boxing history. But the fight itself didn't live up to the billing. Period. So you have all too often these massive fights get derailed by unforeseen situations. As Errol Spence put it, we finally here, had a few hiccups along the way, but we made it here. We're here. Let's make it happen. And he's 1000% correct. Because now, why would you, if Errol Spence, he unified the belts against Sean Porter in September of 2019. 12 days later, he suffers a horrific car accident, unforeseen. Then we have the global pandemic, unforeseen. Then he's supposed to go fight Manny Pacquiao August of 2021. He suffers a broken or detached retina. Unforeseen. Why put Terence Crawford in the ring, possibly beats Keith Thurman, suffers an injury, it gets pushed back. Now Errol Spence needs to stay active. He's fighting somebody else. It's not necessary. They both healthy. Terence Crawford is a network promotional free agent. Errol Spence is ready to make the fight. He's healthy. It's time to get it on. Period. So Terence Crawford, he debunks the notion that Keith Thurman is even inkling in his brain as a fight, a possibility. It's not happening. Says he's focused on Errol Spence Jr., and that's all he's focused on. Glad to hear that. So that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all in one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.